Yes, ma'am.
Sheriff, you mentioned that the human traffickers, you don't always arrest alleged human traffickers in these operations. Can you speak more to the challenges with arresting these people, and also with these two in particular, do you think there are more victims out there?
There certainly are more victims out there, and we are always on the search for victims. Many times those that are forced into being victims of human traffickers are scared to death of the trafficker. For example, in this one occasion, the lady that was the human trafficker, she's from the same area in Venezuela. She gave the implicit idea that I know your family in Venezuela. It goes from veiled threats to outright threats. We'll hurt you, we'll kill you, we'll cut off your drugs, we'll cut off your way of life. There won't be any more food, there won't be any more shelter. You see, they many times grab these victims off of the streets. They provide shelter, clothes, food, drugs, and then they indenture them into this horrible life of prostitution. And then they scare them. They're scared to death of these human traffickers. And more times than not, overwhelmingly more times than not, they will not, the victims will not give up their human trafficker. We think it's wonderful this time that we found two, and we believe we're going to be able to charge two more. We still have some investigative work to do. We go an entire operation, and we know the trafficker is there. Many times they get charged with deriving proceeds from driving them there to the scene, the victims. However, the victims won't talk. Some of the toughest victims we deal with are victims of human trafficking. So if they don't talk, we make the best case we can with the evidence we have at the time.
Sheriff, can you provide some more clarity on how the victims and the suspects are able to cross the border and then how they end up here in Florida?
Well, they hook up with a coyote, all right? Last operation, we had 4 ladies that came to the operation. They went from Cuba to Guatemala. In Guatemala, they met the coyote or the trap. And that person said, hey, for this amount of money, I will get you into the United States. And, well, I don't have that money. Well, do we have a deal for you? We'll move you into a job, and you stay with us until you pay us off. The job just happens to be prostitution. Every day, the coyotes move people across that southern border. Some of them operate from the southern border. Some of them are picking them up once they're inside the United States. But they're paying to get here, and or they're paying for transportation after they get here. Many of the people that are coming across that southern border illegally are victims, are being victimized. Some of the people coming across that southern border are trying to come here for a better way of life for them and their families. And then they're being met with the criminals. And once the criminals get them here, what are you going to do? You can't call the cops. You're here illegally. I brought you here. I own you. We have seen victims that were actually tattooed or branded with their trafficker's name or nickname. So this is a real deal, and it's happening every moment of every day across the south border with all the other crime that's occurring there. And, of course, people continue to ignore, this administration continues to ignore, this federal administration continues to ignore the fact that we've got a crisis at the southern border. It's not just the people coming here illegally. If that were the sum total of all of this, you wouldn't have a lot. That is the tip of the iceberg about all the people that are coming here. All the fentanyl. They're killing more people with fentanyl across the southern border than we lost in major wars in this country by the day or by the year. So when are we going to wake up? When are we going to wake up and say a lot of the people coming across the southern border are also being victimized as well as coming here illegally? When are they going to wake up and understand that there's thousands upon thousands of kids and folks being killed by the drugs that's smuggled and they'll push a group of people over here, and why immigration and the border people are busy there, then they turn out and run the suspects or the drugs or specifically the coyotes will bring these folks across in a different area. So at the end of the day, it's a monumental problem. Yes, ma'am.
How many of the trafficking victims came from across the border?
We can give you that number. I don't know off the top of my head, but some of them did.
Do you feel there'll be additional trafficking victims identified out of those who were arrested?
Oh, I believe so. Yes, absolutely. Because not all of the victims that we see here admitted to being victims. Some of them are dug in. But as Jody just explained, we plant the seeds in every operation. Now, from a 2018 case, we see the lady 5 years later change her life and call back to Jody and say, thank you for your work 5 years ago. So some of what we've done here won't bloom into a success story for years and years. Some of it will immediately. But folks, the bottom line is anybody who thinks this is two adults entering into a consensual business relationship for sex and money is wrong. They're so wrong. They're absolutely wrong. Wake up and understand what's really happening here. Yes, ma'am.
I know out of the people arrested, the youngest age given was 18. I know it was stated some people weren't arrested. Were there any minors among those who appeared?
I don't believe we saw any minors that were prostituting this time. We have seen them in the past. Anything else? God bless you. God bless the United States of America, and God bless all of our teams that work so very hard on this. See y'all later.